have those abilities to do those things. And you should not be held back from them because of other systems and things beyond your control. But there's that flip side of, well, what about an evil person? What about the stuff in the middle? Because there's way too many shades of gray. Okay, Pantone has let me know there's a shit ton of shades of gray between white and black, right? And I think that you can be a good person at your core as far as how you operate out into the world, but get caught up in being human and do some evil shit. And does that evil shit then make you not a good person? Just like on the flip side, you can be a bad person. You can operate from a place of, I don't care about other people. Fuck them. I'm going to get mine. I'm like, you get yours because I don't give a shit. But you can wind up doing some good shit. Does that make you a good person and not a bad person? And so I think you start getting into, for me, it now starts to become a qualitative thing. Does your good shit outweigh your bad shit? Depending upon the person, it might.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because I was going to ask you how first I think you are a good person. You over here, you don't whatever talk. You're a good person. But also, I don't see why. Again, I don't know you outside from the
Mm-hmm.
conversations we had on various shows, but outside of that, I don't see why you would not consider yourself or think of yourself as a good person. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know you personally, so
Mm-hmm.
you could be a Nino Brown. You just,
Listen,
but you just chill when it comes to talk shows.
right? Listen, we have all lived in the world and we've operated in the world, right? I can't sit here and tell
Hmm.
you that there's not things that I've said or things that I've done that haven't hurt somebody, intentional or unintentional. There are
Absolutely.
definitely people in the world that will tell you I have done some foul shit to them. And therefore, their perception of me is not a good person. And that's fair,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm not going to sit here and say, like, psh, I'm a good person. I try to be a good person, but I am human. I am fallible.
Okay. So, and this is where I push back against that portion, or this latest portion you just said, because of the whole. I recently thought about change, just the actions of or this thing that we call change, whatever it may be, in various things. But in this particular situation or circumstances, people, you per se, and let's just go with. So let's throw in our partner and or
Mm-hmm.
in immediate family, our household family, maybe even
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. I think we don't. I think it's hard to recognize change for some reason. I think that some reason may be because we haven't fully accepted who we are as
Mm-hmm.
a person, like
Mm-hmm.
ourselves are as a person. Like I don't think we haven't fully. I think we. Man, what am I looking for? I think that I hate to use something modern or something that wasn't quite modern during when we were growing up,
Mm-hmm.
but now we're under this perception that hey, everybody changes. We go through this change, and I'm not talking about puberty. I'm just talking
Mm-hmm.
about just our behaviors, the things that we like,
Mm-hmm.
the things that the things that our behaviors and things that we like. We, oh, okay, here, I think this is where I was coming from when I thought about this. I thought about kids.
Mm-hmm.
Kids, when they get a certain age, they stop doing certain things because of the age that they are. Not
Mm-hmm.
per se that they don't not like them anymore, but it's somewhere in their head, they thought that this is what big people do.
Mm-hmm.
So they force themselves to stop dealing with this particular thing, like
Mm-hmm.
cartoons. Oh, I don't watch cartoons. That's for little kids.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big boy now. I'm a big
Mm-hmm.
girl now. I'm 40. I'm on Well, I don't do Cartoon Network no more, but I'm cartoons all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I just got finished watching. Me and my wife just got finished watching Inside Out 2.
Mm-hmm.
Just us two.
Yeah.
I think that we're since we're not since we're getting taught by, I guess you could say, a variation of, we're getting taught by not mature people ourselves growing up to a
Mm-hmm.
degree, like
Mm-hmm.
to what we consider a mature person.
Mm-hmm.
You know, our when we grow up, like now, like we at the age of now, we're starting
Mm-hmm.
to realize that our parents were actually growing too.
Mm-hmm.
And we were getting taught by whatever it is they grew from.
Mm-hmm.
So some of that has been instilled in us,
Mm-hmm.
not knowing, hey, not even paying attention to, our parents don't seem to do in or act how they used to act when we
Mm-hmm.
were little.
Mm-hmm.
And we seem to not see that in ourselves as well. So change come in, and I don't think we were able to recognize that. And now we're faced with the dilemma of calling ourselves not good people, not a
Mm-hmm.
good person, even
Mm-hmm.
though we've recognized what we've done in the past, but we're not recognized that we don't do that no more, or we haven't really thought about that no more. So it somehow it rushes back to us that, hey, yeah, man, I done some junk in the past, man. You don't want to. I ain't no good guy. I ain't no good person. And like, but okay, are you doing that now?
Mm-hmm.
Like, is Nino? I know I'm probably going all off whack, and maybe I can bring this all back around.
No, I'm
But
following you. It's a good
okay,
line. Go ahead.
okay, I forget. I think it was the anime. No, I'm gonna go with Piccolo, Dragon Ball,
Okay.
because I think I've
Mm-hmm.
seen this in Piccolo's life.
Mm-hmm.
He was a bad guy when he first arrived on Dragon Ball Z. Bad guy,
Mm-hmm.
but uh, I mean in Dragon Ball, and a little
Mm-hmm.
bit in the earlier stages of Dragon Ball Z. Later on, he be turned into this good guy, even turned into Gohan's babysitter in
Mm-hmm.
Super. When
Yep.
so good guy out the world. But I remember watching one episode. It might have been a movie of theirs, a Dragon Ball movie, where he hesitated to kill one of the bad guys, but that it was he still ended up killing them.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it was because of what the bad guy said towards him. Like I think he said something like, "You used to be one of us," or something. You
Mm-hmm.
used to be evil too, and basically doing that reverse psychology junk. Like, hey, you're just as bad as I if you're going to kill
Mm-hmm.
me like this. So he killed them, and I kind of thought about that. Like, why do bad guys who turn good, kill the bad guy like with ease like that? And it made me think about, like, not saying that that bad guy can't change, not
Mm-hmm.
saying Nino Brown wouldn't have changed
Mm-hmm.
in time somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
but how much harm, damage has to be done before you get the picture?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's a great
So
question.
that means, yeah. So in that scenario, it's like we don't got time
Mm-hmm.
for you to going around causing carnage while
Mm-hmm.
you decide if you're gonna be good or not.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily for me, I didn't die in the process of me going back and forth between good and evil.
Mm-hmm.
But since I got to where I am now, I understand what it's gonna take, probably, for this particular bad guy to get the picture.
Mm-hmm.
So I gotta take him out now.
Mm-hmm.
So, good person, bad person. I don't know. I just forcefully brought that back around. I'm not.
So, you know, I mean, here's the thing, right? Like, because I absolutely love everything that you just shared. And I also love that both examples that you're using are entertainment, which, like I talked about earlier, is like the pretend thing, right? Those arcs for those characters in both situations are designed to be entertaining, right? So like when you think about how we consume entertainment, if you're bad from the start and there's no thing that makes you question like your badness, like have you ever really seen a movie where a character dead ass from beginning to end is just an evil bastard? No, because that's boring. It's not entertainment. You're one note. So I know who you are. I know you're not going to have an arc. So I get to tune you out. It's only really entertaining and it only grips us if we see that struggle. If we can see like, there's a little bit of like good in you. And so that gives us a little bit of hope of like, maybe you can change, maybe you can grow. Because as humans, we want to believe that about ourselves. We want to believe that, like, hey, if I make a mistake or I do something bad or I hurt somebody, typically people go, well, maybe I can be better next time. I can do something different next time. And that will make me a good person. I won't be an evil person, right? Because nobody wants to be evil all the way through. History gives us plenty of examples of people who were bad people from beginning to end. All they did was damage and harm and didn't care.
Oh, those
And
freaking heroes.
okay, and that shit isn't entertaining. It's why people want to go, oh, don't look at the history over here of us being evil bastards. No, 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 no. Here's some Kardashians, right? Like, so that you don't focus on those things. But I think as people, right? Everything you talked about, I kind of put into a couple different buckets, right? For me, change is an action. It's a thing that you can do or whatever. When it comes to a person changing over time, I really put that in a bucket of like growth, right? Because we learn things, we're exposed to new things, right? As the example that you gave, like of our parents and how we operate different and understanding that, hey, they were learning and figuring things out and weren't as mature. Like I look directly at my family as that a good example to run through, right? My grandmother on my mom's side had my mother and her twin sister very late in her life for the time. She had them in her 40s in the 1950s. It wasn't a real popular thing that women in their 40s were having kids in the 50s. The learnings and the way that my maternal grandmother grew up, the tools that she had, her environment, how she saw her parents parent their kids, and what they instilled in her was very different from my mom. My maternal grandmother was not a warm, caring, nurturing woman, especially in her 40s when she had already had 6 kids. They were grown as shit. And now she thought she was just going to crip walk into the back end of her life. And now she's got to be a mom again. And that shit was very different from her. So she wasn't warm and nurturing
You
and
were
baking
raised by
cookies.
your, you
So
was raised by
my
your
mom
grandma?
was,
Oh,
but
your mom. Okay, I
yep.
missed that.
And so when my mom and her sister came along, they got a very, very, very different person. And so she wasn't, the, as we see in like 50s TV, jolly homemaker mom in an apron baking cookies for the kids. So when they came home, there was cookies. That wasn't her deal. She was very strict and she wasn't emotional. She didn't share. She didn't read bedtime stories. That wasn't her bag. And so she didn't go to school events. She didn't let my mom and my aunt really do anything other than attempt to learn a lesson. They didn't have friends over after school. Your friends were what you did at recess. That's what you went to school for, a little education and like people stuff. Now you're home. Go pick cranberries in the bog. You got chores up the wazoo, and also bring the turkey in because we're about to kill him because we need like food for this week. So her experience growing up was not the thing that was portrayed on national TV as like this society says is what home life is like. And so for my mom, she decided that when she had kids, she was going to be the antithesis of her mom. She was going to go to the school events and be the warm and cook the home meals and have cookies and all that kind of stuff. But my mom, because she was not exposed to that, other than fleeting things that you see on TV that are for entertainment, didn't have the tools to deliver that at home. And she struggled with that. And it really affected her. I didn't recognize it when I was a child because I wasn't aware of these things. But my mom was not able to be the parent that she wanted to be when I was younger. And so as I got older and started realizing things about the world, we started to clash because we had different value systems. Because what my mom instilled in me was different than what her mom instilled in her. And then we all took those things and ran with it. Now, ultimately, my grandma,
you got the spite learning of
I, I did, right?
I'm
But
gonna
even at
teach you
that,
this out of spite.
but even in that, so much of what my grandmother modeled and taught my mom, whether she recognized she was doing it or not, and at the time she didn't, but as we both got older and we could use our words and our life experience to have the conversation about it, was very frank with me. It was like, my mom didn't give me the things to be the kind of mom that I wanted to be. And I know that I failed there. And I told my mom, I was like, listen, you didn't fail, but